And we're back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rollsicle. I, of course, one of the hosts here, Nathaniel, jumping on one of these videos that I've made like 3 of now. To nobody's surprise, right, I am very late with this video. If you don't know, I was trying to make one of these a month. This is a video that's supposed to be about trust, and according to the title, I'm going to assume that that ended up happening. That being said, I know it was supposed to release in May, I think, maybe June. I don't know if this one was for May or June, but either way, I'm going to assume you guys are seeing this in August. So that kind of calls out my ability to make these videos, but I still wanted to make it nonetheless. Also, shout out to my lovely co-commentator, Ashley. She provided the gameplay for the back of this video, so if anybody roasts me or her in the comments, I will come after you. She's doing her absolute best, and she is wonderful. Love you to the moon and back, baby. All right, so let's talk about trust. Now, as I mentioned, this video is very late. Obviously, that's not intentional, but I don't always have the motivation, or more accurately, the knowledge of what I'm supposed to be writing when it comes to these scripts. You know, I was sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to write about trust. Just write about trust, right? That's something you struggle with, trust. And, you know, Ashley was just telling me, all right, you talk about that all the time. Like, why don't you just write about it? And I mean, she's not wrong, but that doesn't mean that I can just spew out a script you know, like someone throwing up their poorly digested lunch and it's just beautiful. No, I mean, I can't do that anyways. So I kind of jotted one down, but I'm also kind of just free flowing with it. So bear with me if this doesn't sound that incredible. Anyways, I'm supposed to talk about trust. I want to talk about trust. So let's talk about trust. Okay, so I've made a few of these self-improvement style videos so far, and the most recent one was talking about the power of faith, you know, something that's not that distant from trust. And I had to ask myself, like, how did I plan on differentiating them? I think the easiest way to do so is to think in opposites, or in the math world, we would call them inverses, right? We can all imagine what distrust feels like when you have this deep sort of guttural nerve that something or anything could just not be as expected or as foretold or what the person's telling you. And that makes trust the opposite of that feeling. It's a deep guttural instinct that everything is as expected, is as foretold, and will work out. That is the kind of trust that I want to talk about today. And I won't lie, it is something that I struggle with. So what makes this trust so much different than the faith that I talked about in the previous video? Well, for starters, you have more of a say in who you trust, and that is both a good and a bad thing, I think. See, if you're anything like me, you'll be glad to know that you have more control over your trust, but also you're going to assign more blame to yourself when you fail to trust someone because of this. The ultimate goal of trust is to have faith, but even when faith is lacking, you can choose to trust in that person anyways. Often we won't, and we can really start kicking ourselves for this, but the versatility of trust is, in my opinion, ultimately a good thing. And it's important that we remember that. This is why I've grown to believe that trust is more important than faith, because we have more control over it and because it's that first step. I also believe that it has more control over us, though. As I just mentioned, often we don't trust certain people or certain things, and as I've thought about it more, I've realized that this is often due to trusting the opposite. Okay, now that might sound complicated, so here's an example. If my lovely fiance, love you, Ashley, were to tell me that she was never going to play Magic the Gathering again, I wouldn't trust her. And this is mostly because I trust that she loves the game and will play it again. In fact, I know this to be true. So this discovery kind of led me to the realization that there's almost never an absence of trust. It's simply that the trust is in something else, usually the opposite or inverse of what we are distrusting. It's not that I don't trust Ashley at all. It's just that I trust that she's going to continue playing Magic. Now, this applies to all aspects of trust. If I don't trust myself to go to the gym consistently, that's probably because I trust myself that I'm going to miss days and I'm going to fall off my schedule. I could list a lot of examples, but hopefully you guys are getting the gist. Now, namely, I think this is a big problem because having trust in things comes with many benefits, right? It improves our relationships, it can lower our stress, it can increase our confidence, help us relax, and all these other things. And often we get so lost in our mistrust that it stops feeling like we have a choice or a say in the matter at all. Now, if that's how it feels for you, don't worry, you're not alone in this. I've been there before. Honestly, most people probably have, and in many ways, I still am. Okay? I'm going to break down how we can get past this in a few steps, or at least how I think we could get past this in a few steps, and help gain control of our trust again, and stop letting our trust control us. right? Okay, so step one is we need to remember that trust is a choice, like I talked about earlier. It doesn't control us. We have a choice in the matter. It might not feel like it at times, but we proved earlier that it is. This is essential, and it's the only way to remind our brains that we have a fighting chance against what we trust and don't trust. We are not a slave to what we trust and don't trust. You have a say in the matter. As much as you need to remind yourself of this, do this, because this step is absolutely essential. Okay? You cannot go to step 2 unless you know you have a say in the matter. Okay, great. You should be on step 2 with me now, right? Now that we know that we have a say in the matter, how do we actually enact that say? Well, as I mentioned earlier, mistrust is usually a byproduct of trusting in something else. Step 2 is going to be all about figuring out what that other thing is. As I mentioned, if I don't trust my friend to do something, it's time to ask myself the all too powerful question of why, right? It is more than likely because I trust that he or she is going to fail me or fail what I don't trust in some sort of way. More importantly, I trust they will fail me for a reason, and that's what we need to get to in step 2. Okay, so in my example, it's likely that they have failed me before. Someone else has convinced me they will fail, or they clearly don't mean whatever it is they're claiming. Whichever reason it is that I have to mistrust them in this situation matters. We need to find it, we need to recognize it, and then we can move on to step 3. All right, step 3 is to ask yourself if the reason you have to mistrust them is fair and if you want to believe it or not. This is where I have a secret that I need to reveal to you guys. Not all mistrust is bad trust. If a friend or someone you know has failed you too many times and you aren't ready to trust them again, or they don't deserve for you to trust them again, then that is okay. Sometimes it takes time to move on, and this is more of a fail-safe step than it is a step moving forward. You need to decide whether or not trust in this instance is going to help you, or whether mistrust is there to protect you. If mistrust is the answer, then you're done, and that's okay. I hope that whatever it is that hurt you, you heal from, and you grow back stronger. If you decide that you want to build your trust and you're ready, then that's also great, and there's only one more step for you. All right, now, here's the kicker. Step 4. You've decided that the mistrust is invalid and you want to start trusting again. If it were that easy, there wouldn't be a 4-step process to it. I wouldn't be making an entire video. Now, what you're going to do is to put your trust in yourself, okay? Here's what I mean. Your own decision that the mistrust was invalid is what you just came to. This can help you lead to trusting them again. I know it sounds convoluted, so let's revisit our example, okay? If I don't trust one of my friends to show up on time, I have to ask myself why, okay? The answer to that might be because he's always been late before, or he's, told me before that he'd show up and then he just never did, or something along those lines, right? And I've decided that I'm going to mistrust him, that my mistrust was valid, but now I want to move past that. I want to trust him again, and that mistrust is invalid because this time he recognized his mistakes. He promised to turn over a new leaf. Now, I'd love to just start trusting him again and that be that, but that's just not how it works. The key to trusting him again is having faith in my own decision that the mistrust I previously held is invalid, right? This will be much easier to believe, and then the next thing you know, you'll be trusting him again in a breeze, okay? It might sound tricky and complicated, but I promise this system really works. It works for me, and I really hope that it works for you guys too. So again, just remind yourself, you're going to go through all the steps. If the mistrust is valid, then by all means, keep mistrusting, okay? I really hope that whatever hurt you heals. But if you're ready to move on, then put your faith in the fact that you made the decision to move on, so now you should be trusting that person again. That really is all I've got for you guys in this video. I understand firsthand the many difficulties that come with trusting people, things, or even yourself, but the benefits cannot be denied. So please, please, please make sure that you're going through these steps and loving your life and enjoying your time with the people around you and trusting them and all of those beautiful things. Knowing when and when not to have trust in someone or something is a valuable skill, and I hope that it's one that we can all learn to utilize and reap the benefits of together. This video will likely shift in the future months, by the way, because as much as I love doing these self-help style videos, there's only so much I have to say, and there's way more I still have to learn, right? I'm barely, now by the time I'm making this, not even when I was writing the script, 22 years old. I've got a lot of wisdom to gain, and I've got a lot to learn from what life has to give us, right? So I'll probably make some videos like this as the days go by, and especially as I get older. But I wanted to just preface that I like making these style of videos, and I will probably hop on here and make videos about other things, just get on here and talk, right? That's one of the things that I really enjoy doing, but I don't want to force myself into saying something, super, I don't know, philosophical and out there, when the reality is I only know so much. I only have so much to say on certain topics like this, versus if I got on here and just ranted about Magic or D&D or something like that, I would probably have a lot to say, and I would be very knowledgeable on the cause. So I enjoy these videos, and I will probably continue kind of walking through my journey with all of you guys, okay? But just know I'm not trying to claim I know anything way better than you do. This is a room and area for growth, a Rollsicle family of growth. We'd love to see any and everybody here is welcome. Just don't be mean in the comments. Like I said, be supportive, build each other up. And I think that is all. I will see you guys in any of the future videos. I will take a moment here to say, if you guys haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. All of the support is literally the greatest thing. Well, it's not the greatest thing, but it's one of the greatest things that can happen for me and Ashley. It just makes our day when we see the subscriber number go up, or we get a like or a comment from somebody we didn't know. We make this content for you guys. So when we see all of you guys engaging with it, that is the greatest payoff that there is for making this type of content. You guys are what makes Rollsicle so great. You guys are what makes Rollsicle awesome. And we are on that final march to 200 subscribers. I cannot believe it. We're almost there. And if we aren't there by the time this gets posted, you could be the one. Keep being awesome. All right, we'll see you guys in anything in the future. Until then, may those rolls be ever in your favor. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye, y'all.